We've just arrived in Boulder, Colorado. So Brad, thanks for agreeing to come on Startup Television today.
My pleasure.
I'd like to ask you what you were doing before you became a venture capitalist. We were talking about your period of doing angel investments in the mid to late 90s. What led up to that? What kind of businesses? Give us a little background.
I started my first company when I was in school. I went to MIT and started a software consulting company that was very creatively named Feld Technologies. We did not hire a naming consulting firm. I simply called my dad up and asked him what he thought the best name for a company would be, and he said mine. We self-funded it. We had $10 of paid-in capital because we had no money. We had 10 shares of stock, $1 each, so that we could split up the company, and that's what we did. So we built the business from '87, myself and a partner, to a couple $1 million a year business in 1993. We had about 20 people working for us, and it was acquired in November '93 by a public company.
What kind of work were you doing?
Mostly custom software for small to medium-sized businesses. This was back in the late 80s, early 90s. PC databases were just starting to become more than just something you ran on your individual desktop computer.
So DBase 4 is kind of mature?
No, it was before DBase 4. So
Okay.
kind of DBase 3 was the 87 timeframe. We were all software guys, so we never used database products like DBase because they just weren't very good products for developing software. We used a language called Clarion, which was more of a software programming language that also had sort of database stuff built into it.
Cool.
And we took a real computer science approach to building these applications. And most of our customers were, $10 million to $100 million type companies. We didn't do a lot of work for very large businesses. Two-thirds of it was probably
SMB,
regional in the Northeast, Boston, New England, New York. We had some companies, we had some clients in California and Texas and other parts of the country. And I like to say this, it's always been the case that writing software is hard. It continues to be hard. But our motto as a business was we suck less. And we were essentially the second, third, fourth consultants to come in, usually after somebody had spent most or all of their money and didn't have much to show for it. Yeah, we were pretty good at saying, look, we had a great reputation for getting stuff done, and we said, look, it's not my problem that you have already spent your money once. I can't fix that problem, but I can tell you that we'll do the best job we possibly can for you, and we'll suck less than the last guy. And it sort of was a good operating philosophy. I mean, we really tried to do a great job for our clients, but it's very hard to rally people around. We're going to be the best software development, whatever, in an environment where most of the things at the time didn't work well, were very difficult, et cetera. So that was the
Sounds
business.
like a lot of fun.
It was good. It was the first thing I did as a business. It was oftentimes very stressful. Growing from myself and a partner to 20 people was challenging because we didn't really know what we were doing at
First
the
time
beginning.
right out of school too.
Yeah, but we built a nice company. We were profitable because we had to be. We were profitable every month. And we sold it in '93. We never really thought about exit strategies or growth. We just sort of did our business. And we were approached in '93 by a public company that found out about us from another company they'd acquired. And most of the companies they were buying, they bought about 40 companies in 3 years. We were the 8th or 9th company they bought. They were buying companies that were hardware resellers. So still in the early 90s, you could sell a desktop PC and make 30 points of gross margin.
There was 90,000 VARs in the United States alone during that period.
It was, Novell. Was Novell networking. You had a lot of people that were starting to do PC-based networks instead of mini computer-based technology. And we were a software consulting group, so their goal was, in buying us, was to build a services and consulting organization. Of course, today it's sort of flipped, right? Services organizations make money. There's no margin in hardware at this point. So,
exactly.
But that was the first business, and that company acquired us in '93.
Did you stick around for the integration, or go right
Yeah,
into
I stuck around for about a year and a half. First 9 months or so, I continued to grow our business, which grew very quickly from 2 million to 5 million that year because we just had a lot of business that came from the other stuff that they were acquiring. And then they bought a $20 million business that looked very similar to ours. And at that point, we merged our piece into that that $20 million business. I handed the keys over to the guy running that business and became the CTO. So for about 9 months, my job was to sort of travel around the country and be the technical guy on the M&A team. So as they were buying, and really up to that point, I'd never done any investing or M&A or anything like that. When they buy a company, typically the companies consisted of a couple of people, that were sales or operations oriented, and then a person who was technically oriented. And all of these companies had an illusion that they had some special magic technology, but really they were just sales organizations for other products, typically with some software and technology, but it wasn't a particularly core part of their business. So my job was to relate, to do some diligence and see if there was anything there beyond, the pure hardware sales business.
Sounds like you landed the funnest job.
It was a fun job, and I learned an enormous amount because I got to spend a lot of time with other entrepreneurs around the country. I got to look at a lot of businesses, and I got to be part of the M&A process. During this time while I was there, I started making some investments with some of the money that I'd made. I made some very early angel investments.
So that was the start of your angel investing
Yeah.
career, which we were talking earlier is quite extensive.
Kind of 94, 95, 96, which was a very good time to be making investments because the internet, sort of commercial internet wave was just beginning.